Before I get into the review, I apologise for the lack of uploads. Because in the UK it's been quite hot, frankly I didn't really want to have my PC running, and since my PC is prone to freezing, crashing, or overheating very easily, I just kind of left it for a few days. I also did try to record the review for this when I listened to the album on the first day, but the annoying thing is my neighbour kept doing construction on his patio, and that's been going all week. Every single time I plan to record, he's been doing it, but since it's been cooler and quite chilly outside, it's been nice to actually get this out of the way. So, yep, here we are with the brand new album by King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, Phantom Island. I think this is their 27th record. I've lost count because they have a tremendous library of albums. Matter of fact, they have a library that a lot of bands will never get. 27 albums in a discography is something that not many bands get to do now, because a lot of bands just split up and have fallen out, and it's just, compared to the old days where it was an album a year you got to make easily, now it's pretty much an album every 2, 3, 4 years. So because of that gap, it definitely has an impact. But King Gizzard just say fuck that, and pretty much other than 1 year, I think it was 2018, they didn't release an album. Every year they have released music, and some years they even released 4 or 5. So there you go. We're going to dive into the first album of 2025. There might be another one, that's just speculation. But Phantom Island, this one is a concept that takes the B-side recordings of the Flight B741 record, or just 10 tracks in the recording session, but the difference between that is, while they do have a similar sound to it in some way, it loses the kind of bluesy roots rock direction that album took, and instead it puts more of the orchestral elements to it. Matter of fact, it's kind of nice that Phantom Island starts off with the title track, which really pulls you in with this build-up of not strings, but like brass instruments. You even get some kind of like strings here and there, but the main focus is the kind of the orchestral vibe, and it just gives us some of the most King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard sound we've ever heard. Phantom Island is probably my favourite song from King Gizzard. It's just absolutely phenomenal, and I feel like this was definitely a decision that the band, I'm surprised, haven't done beforehand. And even Deadstick was the second single. This one ties more into the lore of the plane crash that leads into Phantom Island. This all being lore, by the way, not a real plane crash. But Deadstick is a lot of fun. I love the variety, I love the hecticness, the fact that you can make a song about a plane crashing onto an island and set on fire. So upbeat and lively, is just funny to me. But Deadstick is just easily one of the best songs on this record, up there with Phantom Island in my opinion. Good fucking singles in my opinion. And then Grow Wings and Fly, the third one, a little softer, a little tamer than the first two, but I like it, and I kind of respect the King Gizzard want to kind of change the tempo a bit. You've got the more upbeat, fun energy of these two singles, and then Grow Wings and Fly just kind of feels like a nice, calming way to end the record. Probably shouldn't have been a single, though. I feel like having the final track as a single just kind of ruins the ultimate climax of the record, but I mean, I still appreciate what it offers. And with the singles generally being quite good, my hype for this album was immensely popular. I was thinking this is probably going to be one of the albums at least that could be album of the year, but after listening to the record, I don't think it quite hits that high. I do appreciate the band's dive into this direction, but I feel like they take a more serious turn, and while they utilise the orchestral elements, it just doesn't necessarily have as much ideas that jump out at me. I feel like with King Gizzard, they're always so experimental that you don't even know what to expect, and that's the fun of it. But by the time you get to Lonely Cosmos onwards, you will definitely know what the album's going for. I think the writing is decent, not King Gizzard's best, but I think in terms of songwriting it's great. Lyrically, I'm not really that invested in a lot of these songs, but that's just because King Gizzard's writing in that part hasn't necessarily been anything as good as Petrodragonic Apocalypse. But Phantom Island, I think, generally still brings good attributes to the band's sound. I feel like this is a little bit of a step up from the previous record. I like the fact that they're exploring this theme I feel like there is some great ideas within tracks like Eternal Return or Silent Spirit, some of the songs that generally bring out some good engagement. Aerodynamic is just such a nice flowing song that I think works well into the context of the record, and tracks like Spacesick and Panpsych, I think they generally just kind of feel like the laid back King Gizzard songs that generally piece the album into a fun direction, but not anything zany and off the walls either. And I think Phantom Island feels like it's just restricted a little bit from kind of going all out with it. I feel like the orchestral elements only really apply to certain points of the song. Like, you'll definitely hear them here and there, but I feel like Phantom Island is one of the only songs that really utilised it with that big intro. I generally feel like there would be more moments like that, but instead it's just kind of they sprinkle it between vocals. I kind of wish there was more kind of like passages of this being a focus, or at least just kind of making the songs feel a bit more distinctive, because I find a lot of the songs just kind of mesh and blend together, and it doesn't quite stand out to me as a lot of the songs from Flight B741 do. At least with that album, a lot of the songs straight off the bat I can recall, I know which songs are different, but Phantom Island, the thing that makes it better to me is the fact that the songs still have a lot more creativity to them. I generally feel like the singles just generally beat everything from that record, and the worst track on this album isn't even a bad song, so I think this is generally a good sign for King Gizzard. Not my favourite album from the band. Looking back at my 2023 review of Petrodragonic Apocalypse, I would have rated it higher and I would have put it high on my list, but I just guess it was me trying to get into King Gizzard in the first place. But Phantom Island doesn't quite hit that note of what that album did. It doesn't beat Nonagon Infinity for me, as I think that's probably still the band's best record to date, and Infest the Rat's Nest, I kind of feel like I prefer the more thrashy side of King Gizzard, but I always am open to a lot of the ideas, and I generally enjoy most of the concept on paper. I just wish it had a little better execution, but when I'm going to stand, I'll give it a 3.5 out of 5. Great King Gizzard album, and definitely worth it. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.